500 years ago, a man was tortured for weeks in a dark Florentine dungeon. His arms were dislocated, his body broken, but his mind remained sharper than the blades that threatened him. When they finally released Niccolò Machiavelli, he didn't seek revenge. He did something far more dangerous. He wrote down the brutal truths about power that rulers had kept secret for millennia. And those truths, they can transform how people treat you forever. You see, Machiavelli understood something most people never grasp. Respect is never given. It's taken. It's commanded. It's engineered through specific behaviors that signal to others exactly where you stand in the hierarchy of life. Today, we're going to unlock the forbidden wisdom that made princes tremble and enemies bow. But be warned, once you see these truths, you cannot unsee them. Everything about your relationships, your career, your daily interactions will change. Are you ready to never be disrespected again? The fear principle. Machiavelli wrote something that shocked the world. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Now, before you dismiss this as cruel, understand what he actually meant. Love is conditional. People love you when you give them what they want. The moment you stop, that love evaporates like morning dew. But fear is a constant. It doesn't depend on your generosity or your mood. It creates a boundary that people don't cross. Think about it. Who do people disrespect? The person who is always available. The one who says yes to everything. The one who bends to every demand. Respect requires boundaries, and boundaries require consequences. Machiavelli wasn't teaching cruelty. He was teaching that people need to know there's a cost to mistreating you, not through violence or aggression, but through the simple willingness to walk away, to say no, to let people feel the absence of your value. When someone knows you can exist perfectly well without them, everything shifts. But this is just the foundation. Never appear desperate. Here's a truth that will change your life. Desperation is the death of respect. Desperation. Machiavelli observed that princes who begged for loyalty received none. Those who demanded it with quiet confidence received everything. Why? Because neediness signals low value. When you chase people, they run. When you over-explain yourself, you lose authority. When you accept crumbs from someone's table, you announce that crumbs are what you deserve. The one who needs less controls more. Watch how this plays out in your life. The friend who's always available gets taken for granted. The employee who accepts every unreasonable demand gets passed over for promotion. The partner who forgives everything becomes invisible. If Machiavelli's wisdom is opening your eyes right now, hit like and subscribe to unlock more truths about power and human nature. Because what comes next cuts even deeper. Machiavelli's solution was elegant. Cultivate what he called sprezzatura, the art of appearing effortless. Never let people see you sweat. Never reveal how much you need something. The more composed you appear, the more respect flows toward you naturally. Calculated distance. There's a weapon most people never use. Distance. Machiavelli noticed that the princes who made themselves constantly available were treated like servants. But those who controlled access to themselves, they were treated like treasures. Familiarity breeds contempt, he wrote, and he was right. The more available you are, the less valuable you become. Think of anything scarce in your life. Gold, diamonds, time with someone you admire. Scarcity creates value. Your presence is currency. Spend it wisely. This doesn't mean becoming cold or distant. It means becoming intentional. Not every message deserves an immediate response. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every person deserves your full attention. When you pull back strategically, something magical happens. People start wondering about you instead of dismissing you. They begin to value the moments they do get with you. They start to pursue rather than presume. But distance alone isn't enough. What you do when you engage matters even more. Master of timing. Machiavelli was obsessed with timing. He called it Fortuna, the goddess of fortune, and believed that half of our actions are ruled by her. But here's his secret. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. There are moments to act decisively and moments to wait in calculated silence. The problem? Most people get this backwards. They hesitate when they should strike. They react impulsively when patience would serve them better. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct is to respond immediately, to defend yourself, to explain, to justify. But immediate reactions come from weakness. They reveal that the person's words wounded you. Strategic delay is power. When you pause before responding, you communicate that their words don't control your emotions, that you're analyzing, calculating, deciding on your terms. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Let them wonder. Let them fill the silence with their own anxiety. Silence is strategy. Timing turns ordinary actions into devastating moves. But there's something even more powerful than timing. The mask of power. One of Machiavelli's most controversial teachings was this: perception is reality. It doesn't matter who you actually are. It matters who people believe you are. Perception. He watched princes who were merciful get destroyed because they appeared weak, and tyrants who were feared get respected because they appeared strong. The lesson isn't to become someone else. It's to control the narrative of who you are. Most people disrespected by others have the same problem. They've allowed negative perceptions to calcify around them. The pushover, the yes person, the easy target. You must consciously rewrite your story in others' minds. How? Through strategic action. One firm no can undo a year of weak yeses. One moment of walking away can shatter the image of someone who always stays. One display of having options can destroy the perception of desperation. Machiavelli called this the art of impression management. Every action you take writes your reputation in the minds of others. Are you writing the story of a king or a pawn? But even perception has its limits without this next element: selective kindness. Here's where Machiavelli surprises everyone. He actually valued kindness, but not the kind most people practice. Cruelty used well may be called compassion. What did he mean? Indiscriminate kindness is weakness. Strategic kindness is power. When you're kind to everyone equally, your kindness means nothing. But when you reserve your generosity for those who earn it, it becomes gold. Think about the people who disrespect you. Chances are you've been kind to them. You've given them your time, your energy, your consideration, and they've taken it for granted because they didn't earn it. The Machiavellian approach is different. Make your kindness rare. Make it conditional. Make it a reward that must be earned and maintained. When people know your warmth isn't automatic, they value it more. Generosity has more power when it's rare. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming valuable. And there's one more element that ties everything together: knowing yourself. Machiavelli's deepest teaching isn't about others at all. It's about you. Before you can command respect, you must know what you respect in yourself. Most people allow disrespect because they secretly agree with it. Deep down, they don't believe they deserve better. They haven't defined their own value. They haven't drawn their own lines. Machiavelli spent his exile writing not just about power, but about self-knowledge. He studied his own weaknesses, his own patterns, his own tendencies that had led to his downfall. He transformed his suffering into wisdom about human nature. Ask yourself honestly, what are your non-negotiables? What treatment will you absolutely not accept? What are you willing to lose to maintain your dignity? If you don't know your worth, others will decide it for you. And they'll decide low. This self-examination isn't comfortable, but it's the foundation of everything we've discussed, because the person who knows themselves cannot be manipulated, cannot be diminished, cannot be disrespected without walking away. The Prince Within. Machiavelli's book was called The Prince, but here's what most people miss. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. You don't need a throne to be a prince. You don't need an army. You don't need wealth or title. You need sovereignty over yourself. The prince Machiavelli describes isn't just a ruler of lands. He's a ruler of his own mind, his own reactions, his own destiny. Sovereignty. Every principle we've discussed tonight leads to this single truth. You must become the prince of your own life before others will treat you like royalty. Stop waiting for permission to command respect. Stop hoping people will notice your worth. Stop believing that being nice will eventually be rewarded. The transformation begins the moment you decide that disrespect is no longer an option. Not through aggression, not through cruelty, but through the quiet, unshakable knowledge that you would rather stand alone than kneel before anyone. That is the essence of Machiavelli's wisdom. That is the secret of never being disrespected again. 5 centuries ago, Machiavelli sat in his study, a broken man writing forbidden truths. He had been tortured, exiled, forgotten, but his words have outlasted every prince who ever lived. Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. Tonight we've unlocked wisdom that most people will never understand. The fear principle, the power of distance, the mastery of timing, the mask of perception, strategic kindness, self-knowledge, and finally the prince within. You now possess ancient power, but knowledge without action is nothing. Tomorrow, when someone tests your boundaries, remember what you learned tonight. When someone takes you for granted, remember your worth. When someone tries to make you small, remember the prince within you. The choice is yours. You can continue being disrespected, or you can apply this wisdom and watch everything transform. If you made it this far, comment the prince within to prove you're ready to claim the respect you deserve. The vault has more secrets. The wisdom of the ages is yours. Use it well. If this awakens something in you, hit subscribe. More forbidden wisdom awaits in the vault.